Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot, and I'm recording this video today on such a miserable morning here in the UK. We've had storms going over the last week, so much rain, so much wind. Today it's almost dark and it's the morning. I don't think the sun will be out at all. I've been trying to get my lighting right, but if I put my big light on, I'm going to get even more of a glare on the cards than I've already got now. So I hope that you can see what's on the table anyway. So this is a VR to Nova at Nova Luna Tarot. She's had a tag for some time called Read This Deck. I've done a couple of other videos in the past with this tag. I think it's a good tag to show how you as an individual read with a particular deck. I think with the emphasis on using one of the spreads in the guidebook for the deck. So this is the Forest of Enchantment, and as you've probably heard me say in my previous video, my What Have I Been Up To, I've been using this deck as my shadow work deck for the month of October, and every day, well, 26 days out of the month, I pulled a card. Not every day. I think it would be impossible for me to be that consistent. But 26 out of the 30 odd days, I picked a card. And I also look at the bottom of the deck as well. So it's like 2 cards every day, the top card and the bottom card, plus an oracle card that I was pulling as well. And it really surprised me, this deck. It had a very masculine feel for me. It seemed to fit really well with shadow work. I found that the more direct questions I asked it, the better the replies and the responses I got. Most of the cards I drew really resonated strongly for the question that I asked that day. And it seemed, like I said, it seemed to be quite a masculine deck for me in many ways. Out of the 52 cards that I drew across the month, so 2 cards every day for 26 days, 11 of those 52 cards were kings. 9 were the Keeper of Boons, the King of Pentacles. 1 was the Keeper of Challenges, the King of Swords, and 1 was the King of Wands. But the Keeper of Boons came out 9 times. And when I asked the deck what it thought of me, who it thought that I represented in this deck, and I pulled the Keeper of Boons. So I think the deck was definitely talking to me. So yeah, I did that every day. And then as part of my shadow work for the month, I decided to do one of the spreads in the deck as well. And I shall show you. So in this guidebook, you've got a 1 card spread, a 2 card spread, and a 6 card spread, but I didn't really get this one, the Owl's Advice. So I tried the Council of Animals, and it says that this is a large reading that requires some time. It's a good one for milestones such as birthdays or the new year, but it can be done any time you are ready to ask yourself the hard questions, or when you're ready to have the Council of Animals ask you. So these are the questions, which I hope that you can see there clearly. We've got Toad, what are you really? Fox, what brings you delight? Deer, what do you love? Tawny Owl, what do you know? Merlin Hawk, what is your prey? Bat, what fuels your flight? Squirrel, what do you covet? Raven, what is your secret? Hare, what is your madness? Hedgehog, what is your song? Bear, what is your strength of character? And Badger, what is your philosophy? So you can see these are very good questions for shadow work. So yeah, and I don't honestly think that you actually need to use the Forest of Enchantment deck to answer these questions with. I think you could use any tarot deck that was either animal based or not, or nature based or not. I don't think it would really matter. I think that you could use this set of 12 questions for any deck that you chose. So as I said, you can take a screenshot of these questions if they're things that you think you might like to use yourself. And I'll just get my journal so that I can sort of go through the questions and some of my responses to it. Obviously, this is a shadow work reading, so some of it is incredibly personal. But I can tell you bits and pieces from here. I think most of you already know quite a lot about me anyway, don't you? So the first question was the toad. And the question was, what are you really? And I drew the Keeper of Challenges, the King of Swords here. That's a strange question, isn't it? What are you really? It's not who are you really? It was what are you really? And I wondered if that just sort of meant what kind of creature, what kind of animal are you? And as I said, I drew the Keeper of Challenges, the King of Swords. And I was a bit surprised about that, because I can see that in myself, but I wouldn't have described myself as the King of Swords necessarily. But, you know, the more I thought about it and I looked at this card and I thought, well, actually, I am a serious person. You know, I think the King of Swords here is a very shrewd and perceptive man, but he's a deep thinker. You know, he considers things very greatly, and that is me. So if I were to be a creature or an animal, it would be one that considered things greatly. Question number 2 was the fox, and the question was, what brings you delight? And I drew the Keeper of Boons, which, as I said before, the deck had already described me as. So I don't know whether that meant that I bring myself delight. I do enjoy my own company, so there is something in that. But I think this is about home comforts, isn't it? About tradition and family and being comfortable, being secure. I know the King of Pentacles, or the Keeper of Boons, he would be a man that would be very keen to help people to solve their problems and to have a good quality of life. And that is definitely something that brings me delight. You know, my whole working life was looking after other people, advocating for other people, whether it was due to their mental health or their finances, their housing, addictions, various things. And you know, it did used to bring me a great deal of peace of mind and satisfaction, I think, in myself. So and I think that, you know, partly that's why I have my channel, is because I still feel like I want to be of some use, you know, that I want to bring something to people's lives, even in very small ways. So yeah, I get the Keeper of Boons. I understand why he came up a lot in my cards and why the deck might have described him as me. Question number 3 is, what do you love? And this was the deer. And I drew the 4 of Visions. And this took me a lot of thinking about here, really, because obviously this is a person who's bored and fed up and disillusioned and lacking things, really. And the question is, what do you love? And I suppose that in my shadow work, that does resonate in that my life has changed quite a lot in the last few years, and that has been one of the difficulties that I've had, is about working out what I actually get pleasure from, what I do love, what brings me, well, it's not what brings me delight, because that was the previous question, but what I feel passionately about, what I feel strongly about, I guess. And that is something that I have struggled with. So question number 4 is, what do you know? And this is the owl. And I drew the 3 of visions, the 3 of cups. And that was easy, actually, for me. That, what do I know? I know that I need more connections in my life, better connections. I need more happy times, more fun and laughter and enjoyment with like-minded people, I guess. So that one was easy. Question number 5 was the hawk. And the question was, what is my prey? And I drew the wise woman, who is the high priestess. And again, I was sort of like, what is my prey? What is my prey? And the animal for this was the hawk, wasn't it? So I was thinking, does this mean what is my focus? What have I got my eye on? What am I, what's the word I want? What am I, yeah. I had a good word yesterday for it, and it's gone out of my head now. It's like what drives me? What's my focus? What have I got my eye on? What am I pursuing? That's the word that I want, perhaps more than anything. What am I pursuing? And as I said, I drew the wise woman, the high priestess, and again, this kind of made sense for me also, is that I've always pursued and always focused on the unknown, on seeing the unseen, of knowing things, of having vision and clarity around things, about being able to find answers. So that kind of resonated. And question number 6 followed on from that. That's the bat, and that is what fuels my flight. So what fuels that need in me to understand and see the unseen? And I drew the huntsman, and the huntsman is the justice card in this deck. And again, that made sense, because that's about truth and respect and honesty and defending and protecting other people and other things. And as I said, that's something that I've done, all my working life, really. And I continue to do wherever I can in life. And it's a card about listening to your conscience and doing the right thing and having insight and understanding things. So, the wise women and the huntsman, to me, they really do help to explain, why I have such a strong urge, I think, to understand things and uncover things and to go deeply into things. So, yeah, I'm probably not explaining myself brilliantly here, but it's difficult without going into too much detail about my own personal circumstances. So question number 7 is the squirrel, and the question was, what do you covet? And this is the hanged man, suspension. And I was thinking, again, that's a strange card for what do I covet? But then it just suddenly came to me, is I do. This womb-like surrender seems very tempting to me. It's like the world has stopped and you're just suspended. not having to think, not having to do, no expectations on you, just being, going through that sort of transformational process. I have a great deal of anxiety. I also have autism, and those things mean that I can find my environment quite difficult sometimes, with noise and people and various things. So to be like this and to feel like I've surrendered control and surrendered worry about things, I do covet that. I do. Question number 8 is the Raven, and that is, what is my secret? And I drew the Ace of Boons, the Ace of Pentacles, which I thought was, again, it took me a while to sort of think about that and see how I felt about that. And it's the question, what is my secret? And, I was sort of thinking, well, what is my secret? That may well be something that brings me luck, or somewhere where I shine in life, or something about myself that other people might not know. I don't really know, but I kind of resonated with the Ace of Boons because I am an earth sign. I have Virgo in 7 places in my chart, and if I'm not a Virgo, I'm a Libra, so to get the Huntsman kind of resonated as well, as did the Keeper of Boons and the Keeper of Challenges. I mean, there's a lot of my astrology in these cards. But this is about luck and fortune, and the ability to sort of stay grounded and to be practical and to have common sense. And I think that I have all of those things, actually. I mean, I can be quite, considering I'm quite a deep thinker, I can be quite stoic about certain aspects of life. I'm certainly very grounded in much of my practice around my spirituality. And I have actually found that I have had quite good luck and prosperity materially at times in my life. The universe seems to deliver the things that I need quite often. I've found, sort of looking back over my life, just when I've needed something, there it's been, like the frog bringing you the ring there. So yeah, I'm not really sure about that one. Question 9, what is my madness? This is the hare, the Mad March hare. And I drew the Sunlight card, which just resonated instantly for me because I do have a very uneasy relationship with that sun energy. It can feel overwhelming to me sometimes. Just on a very day-to-day level, I crave the sunshine. I crave the light of the sunshine. I don't like days that are gloomy, but at the same time, the heat of the sun can be overwhelming for me. I don't enjoy the heat of the sun as much as I like the light. I don't enjoy the heat. But just the feeling of the Sunlight card here, which is about positivity, isn't it? And happiness and abundance and well-being. And I have had an uneasy relationship with those things for a long time because I have chronic health problems, and they can take a toll, on you, on your mental state as well as your physical state. So yeah, if it was to be my madness, I crave the sun, and I crave that positivity, and I crave it in other people, actually. I found that people in my life that are fire signs, for instance, it's like if I were to hug those people, I could charge myself up from them, if you know what I mean. They seem to be so full of energy that I lack. And so it can be a little bit of a madness for me. I kind of resonate with that. So question number 10, which is this card here, is what is my song? And this is the hedgehog. And this did confuse me for a while. This is the 5 of challenges, so this is the 5 of swords. And the question is, what is my song? And I was trying to think, what does that mean? What is my song? What is my song? And to me, it might be like, what is my mantra? What are the thoughts that seem to permeate my mind a lot of the time? You know, if I have certain things that I tell myself quite often, that might be my song, I guess, like a mantra. And I put here for this card that this is about fighting battles that I can't win, not knowing when to stop, not knowing when to give up, struggling to admit defeat over certain things. And that has been a theme in my life when I look back. So that's why I'm calling it my song, I suppose, because it has been a theme. And I think an unconscious theme for much of my life, and is now becoming much more of a conscious thing, so that hopefully I can negate some of the negative effects of that. Question number 11 is, what is your strength of character? And this is the bear. And I drew the 5 of visions. And again, I was not sure about this, because 5 are difficult cards, aren't they? They're often cards of conflict and difficulties. But when I looked at this card here, I was sort of thinking, well, she's lost her orb in the forest, and she's chasing after it, and she's panicked by that. But as she runs into the water, she's going to see this frog here. And I know in this deck that frogs are often princes in disguise. They're just sort of waiting to be kissed, really, and, you know, to become their true self. And so, to me, if this was about strength of character, this would be, to me, that I have learned in my life, I know that life can change in a moment. You know, she's gone here from 1 second being panicked that she's lost her orb, and in the next moment she could get chatting to this frog here, and she could kiss him, and he could be her prince. And, you know, life can change in a moment. And I think that has been a lot of my strength of character in my life, is that even in the darkest days, I've known that life can turn around in just a moment. All it can take is making a decision to do something or not do something. And so I think that has given me a lot of strength of character, to be honest. And some resilience to life, I guess, because life has not been easy at times. And then the last card here is the badger, question 12, and it is, what is your philosophy of life? And I got the death card. So as you can imagine, I was thinking, well, what is my philosophy in life? And I thought, well, actually this figures really well, because this is about endings and beginnings, transformation, changes, letting things go, being able to go with the flow, being able to see the cycles of life, being fairly pragmatic, I suppose, about the turning of life and the changes in life. And I feel those things very strongly. You know, my whole life has been a process of transformation and change. I've had a lot of endings and beginnings, which is how I think I've learned to have some strength of character, as we saw in this card, about knowing that even in the darkest times, things can change. There's always something different, something better around the corner. So yeah, whoops. So I really have only shown you these and talked to you about my experience with these in the hope that it might inspire or encourage you to have a go yourself, because I think that this is a fantastic spread for getting you to think out of the box about yourself and, you know, what motivates you, who you are, really. So, so I do hope you enjoyed it. I also, because I always have to look at the bottom of the deck, always, with any spread or reading I do. And at the bottom of the deck for this reading was the White Heart, the Fool. So again, because I think that the bottom of the deck is often the crux of the matter, isn't it? It's the things that you don't always know, but are definitely in the midst of things. And I drew the White Heart, the Fool, which I think goes very well with the Death card here, doesn't it? Of endings and beginnings, and having that philosophy on life that life can change in a moment. So yeah, I hope that you got something out of seeing my spread here. You know, I'm obviously not looking for advice or anything about my own shadow work. I've only told you a little of what I've uncovered with this reading. In my journal I've written much more, but I've kind of finished my work with the Forest of Enchantment for now. I've now started to work on the Circe Tarot and the Reclaim Oracle, because I'm going to continue my shadow work into November, and then I think stop, because I think a couple of months of shadow work is quite enough, and it actually has been really helpful. So yeah, do say hello. Let me know if you've done this spread, if you use this deck regularly, or if indeed you have a go at doing this spread. Do let me know how you get on. I'd love to know. And take care, everybody. Much love to everybody, and I'll see you all again soon.